Hello everyone, welcome to the Spooky Noodles Podcast. Today we'll be covering the long-awaited Oni. Personally, I've been waiting since episode 13 to get around to this eerie entity, and now I'm pretty excited. The Oni is absolutely my favorite yokai. My interest in the entity really spiked when I saw the mask from the movie Oni Baba. I don't want to ramble on, but don't worry, we'll get to the movie later in this episode. But anyways, what differentiates the Oni from other yokai? If you've seen the episode on yokai, you can either listen to this for a quick refresher, or feel free to skip ahead a little. I want to remind everyone what yokai are before we examine the Oni. To put it simply, yokai are hard to define with the Western tongue as they are really only part of Japanese culture. There isn't a set definition, but it is best to view yokai as any supernatural entity or occurrence. If you'd like a bit more information, the link to our video on yokai can be found in the show notes. Oni are cave-dwelling, horned, demonic ogres. They tend to be massive, incredibly strong, and malicious. They often have red skin, but they can also be blue, black, or yellow. They wear loincloths and carry clubs. Although they are predominantly male, a few Oni are actually female. Oni love to eat people and all around toy with them. As awful as this sounds, Oni can actually bring fortune and wealth to those that they encounter. Strangely enough, there actually seems to be a top dog of the Oni. Like traditional demons who follow the orders of the devil, Oni also have a leader of their own. I apologize for butchering this, but Shuten Doji is a significant Oni who can be thought of as the king of them. There are many tales that cover this entity, but there are definitely a few details that stay relatively consistent. Shuten Doji was the strongest Oni. He resided in the mountains near Kyoto. At some point, he was defeated by a samurai named Minamoto no Reiko. Oni are able to be harmed by physical objects. These entities were mentioned in early historical texts, but they have persisted through decades. The birth of the Oni is a relatively complicated story, so I won't get into the whole thing, but to summarize, they were a product of the god of death, according to one of the oldest chronicles of Japanese history. To ward these creatures off, there were a few methods. The first was to build temples facing in the northeastern direction. Evil spirits were said to pass into the plane of the living in this direction, so putting temples in their way was a powerful way to ward them off. During the annual Japanese celebration of Setsubun, people hold various rituals in an attempt to ward off evil spirits. When it comes to the Oni, people will throw roasted soybeans near their homes and shout for the Oni to leave, while calling for blessings to come in. As with many old supernatural beings, Oni have become less terrifying over time thanks to progressions in our understanding of the world and how it works. Figures of Oni such as costumes or statues are thought to fend off bad luck. There are a lot of examples of the Oni in pop culture, but I'd like to take a moment to talk about the movie Oni Baba. There may be some slight spoilers, but I think most of what I will say is pretty self-explanatory. Skip ahead about a minute if you want to avoid these. However, before we get to that, I'd like to talk about Hanya. Hanya are masks used in Japanese theater and culture. Although they are technically supposed to represent demon women, they have an incredibly similar appearance to the traditional image of an Oni. In the movie, one of these masks is used, and it is incredibly eerie. The term Onibaba refers to an older woman who has turned into an Oni. The term Kijo refers to a younger woman who has turned into an Oni. Although these are both aspects of the movie, I should mention that the transformation of a woman into an Oni is caused by jealousy, not wearing a Hanya mask. If that were the case, there would be a lot of actors who turned into Oni. Now, let's get into the plot of the movie. The film follows two women who pawn off the gear of Japanese soldiers in order to survive. It is a black and white horror film from 1964, and it is awesome. At some point, one of the women finds a Hanya mask, and from there, the horror aspects take over. If you enjoyed this analysis, please consider sticking around for more. Next Sunday, we will be exploring the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. Our sources are linked in the show notes. If you've got any suggestions or tips for our future episodes, please contact us at our email spookynoodlespod@gmail.com or at our Twitter @spookynoodles. Your feedback is greatly appreciated. Make sure to keep your taste for horror alive by watching the next episode of Spooky Noodles on Apple, Spotify, Amazon, or YouTube. Thank you for listening.